Dana White's teacher's pet is at it again. Bo Nickal is spouting off nonsense, pulling the whole routine. Let me at him, Dana. Hold me back, Dana. Discussing a potential main event opportunity against Robert Whittaker, stepping in for Khamzat Chimaev. And I was going to leave it alone. Bo Nickal has made delusional remarks in the past, which we're actually going to look at in this video. But then I went and sought out the original source and listened to it in its entirety. And he goes on to talk about Khamzat Chimaev pulling out and basically makes fun of Khamzat Chimaev for being hospitalized and laughs at Khamzat Chimaev for being hospitalized. And also on top of all that, he starts kind of making up rumors for why he believes Khamzat Chimaev is in the hospital, which I think maybe I wouldn't be as hard on Bo Nickal for it because it wasn't as in your face. It was more of passive-aggressive, subtle, because how dare Khamzat Chimaev question his NCAA wrestling like 2 years ago. But this is a broader topic of kind of the MMA community lashing out against Khamzat Chimaev for being hospitalized. I've seen a lot of it recently, and I want to discuss it in this video. We're going to take a look at what Bo Nickal said, which I think is disgusting and despicable. And the way he does it in such a little petty way where he can say, oh, well, I wasn't really saying that. And just to have an easy out. I hate when people do that. I hate when people are super like subtle kind of talking shit. And I just want to discuss the fact that Bo Nickal is being sold to you guys by the UFC. The media is in on it. A lot of the fans are falling for it. And the dude is... Dana White selling Bo Nickal is the definition of a snake oil salesman. That's what's going on here. We're going to discuss in this video, and I'm so tired of Bo Nickal pulling the old routine. Hold me back, hold me back, hold me back. Also, we're going to go into an update about Khamzat Chimaev towards the end of the video. More details have come out about Khamzat Chimaev, and there's been a lot of misinformation floating out there about Khamzat Chimaev as well. So we're going to start off right away by looking at a couple clips from the MMA Hour a couple months ago, right after Bo Nickal defeated Cody Bumdidge at UFC 300. And this kind of touches into the topic of Dana White selling us Bo Nickal, but I just want to point this out very clearly because I think Bo Nickal is starting to believe his own hype, and it's honestly going to end with a very embarrassing performance for him if he actually gets a big step up in competition, but who knows, that might not be for another 4 years. But let's listen to him talk about Dana White chasing after him after he defeated Cody Bumdidge at UFC 300.
Obviously the emotions are running high. And so I was like, I'm sorry, man. I wanted to put a better performance on. Like, you know, that was, it was what it was. And he was just basically told me to I did amazing. And he said that it was actually crazy because I saw him walk over to where we exited the octagon. And I was like, what's he doing over there? And I've never seen him do that before, where he just kind of greeted me after the fight. And he told me that, I'm going to be, you know, one of the biggest stars this sport's ever seen, and to keep doing what I'm doing. And
so Dana White coddling Bo Nickal for not looking that great against Cody Bumdidge. He made Cody Bumdidge actually look like a decent fighter. So Dana White, you're amazing. You're going to be the biggest draw or biggest star the sport's ever seen, because they are giving Bo Nickal hand-picked matchups. How long it will last, that remains to be seen, but this guy keeps talking about high-level fighters because he knows he's not actually going to fight him. Let's listen to a little bit more.
To not just basically like not let any of that stuff affect me and just keep grinding. And that was cool to hear, just because out of anybody that can predict those types of things, he's the guy that I would respect his opinion. So it meant a lot to me coming from him.
So there you go. He put on a shit performance against Cody Bumdidge. Dana White went out and coddled him and said, it's okay, Bo. You did amazing. You did amazing against that hand-picked opponent who doesn't even belong in the UFC, probably the worst fighter in the UFC, or one of the worst fighters in the UFC. You did great. Anyway, let's move on to him talking about Khamzat Chimaev. This was delusional back then. I wanted to cover it, but there was a lot of other things going on at the time, post-UFC 300. But he's talking about a potential Khamzat Chimaev fight here, and he questions Khamzat Chimaev's resume.
No, it's good. I love it. I love it. I think
So Ariel asked him about a tweet that Khamzat put out, because there's been some back and forth in the past. Khamzat Chimaev says this wrestling was big bullshit because Bo Nickal did not look great against Cody Bumdidge, especially in the wrestling.
The fact that he's recognizing it, and I think he sees what's coming too. I think that it's good for everybody, good for me, good for him, good for the sport. So we're going to make that fight happen. I would just, in response to that, like to say, yo, who are you fighting at 5-0, bro? Some random dude in Europe. Like,
who was Khamzat Chimaev fighting at 5-0? So just to clear things up, Bo Nickal 6-0. Who was he fighting at 5-0? Cody Bumdage. Cody Bumdage. There's no possible way Khamzat Chimaev was fighting better competition at 5-0, right? There's no possible way, right? Oh, let's scroll down. Okay. Oh, Ikram Alaskarov, who stepped in to fight Robert Whittaker on short notice, 1 week's notice, against one of the best middleweights in the world. Yeah, Ikram Alaskarov, the guy who came into the UFC, has 2 very impressive wins so far. They're not great wins. They're not against great opposition. But the point I'm trying to make is the guy that he beat at 5-0 is in the UFC getting wins, not hand-picked trash cans that are made to make you look good that you then go out and look like shit, which is just crazy to me. Crazy to me. So then he talks about, we're going to listen to a little bit more. He talks about how the matchup would go down in a second. But I think he goes on a little bit more about maybe the odds of the fight of him versus Khamzat. But this is a broader narrative that Bo Nickal's been putting out, calling out high-level fighters that he knows the UFC will not give him, and he knows he will never have to fight them, at least not for a very long time. So he talks shit about him, and that's kind of my narrative. It's Bo Nickal's the hold me back guy. Hold me back, Dana. Hold me back. You know, it's just like me. You know, in a video in the past, I said, you know what? Bo Nickal's such a bum. I would fuck Bo Nickal up. I would pick him up and drop him on his head. And then I never even said I was joking. I kind of just went into the video and people were like, Joey, what are you talking about? And what I meant was, it's not that funny or it's not that clever to talk shit about people you never intend to actually fight. When it comes to the shit talking is you saying you would whoop their ass and you both fight in the same organization in the same weight class. That's the point, especially for Bo Nickal. Okay.
I'm fighting in the UFC on UFC 300, so there's levels to this, and I think that
he fought Cody. Hold on, let's go look at Cody Bumdage's resume, his illustrious resume from his illustrious career. Okay, so he lost to Bo Nickal. He beat Zach Reese, but he got a Batista bomb, fair enough. Lost to Jacob Malkoun. Won because he basically acted like he was concussed off an elbow that barely touched him. Lost to Cedriquez Dumas, bottom of the barrel. Lost to Rodolfo Vieira, not bottom of the barrel, but not great. Lost to Mikhail Oleszejczyk. Okay, beat Tresean Gore. The resume isn't that good. I mean, dude lost to Nick Maximoff, okay, who's not even in the UFC anymore. So to act like, and the reason I talk about this so extensively in this video is because some people don't know. Cody Bumdage is not good. That's why I can't help but call him Bumdage. Anyway, let's move on with what he's saying.
People just need to get to know me. The more they get to know me, the more they're going to realize that, hey, like I'm that guy, and there's nothing anybody else can do about that. It wouldn't be surprising to me if when we fight, I'm like a minus 1,000 favorite, the same as I have been in all these other fights. This
guy's delusional. And what's happening here is, I'm not sure if he actually believes this. I think he does. Dana White in the UFC is blowing so much smoke up his ass that I think he might actually believe this. I mean, again, if you look at his resume, and I didn't really go through his resume that much. Cody Bumdage, Val Woodburn. At this point, you pick a guy off the street, 50-50 fight against Val Woodburn. Jamie Pickett. Had to low blow him to get him down, by the way. Struggle with Cody Bumdage. Okay, let's actually look at Cody, but let's look at the fight with Cody Bumdage. I took some stills, or not some stills, I took some clips, and I slowed them down for you for his fight against Cody Bumdage. First off, he was cheating in the first round, eye gouging Cody Bumdage. Here's this first clip. Look at him raking the eyes. Look at him raking the eyes there, if you saw that right there. Then right here, this is his illustrious performance over Cody Bumdage. Look at these filthy ground and pound shots. Oh my God. So violent. And then most damning, here's a takedown attempt from him against Cody Bumdage in the second round. Watch this takedown attempt. Look, single leg. Shucked to the ground. Literally on his forehead right here. And then Cody Bumdage starts walking him down a little bit. That's his performance against Cody Bumdage. Meanwhile, you know, we looked at who Khamzat's fighting at 5-0. Let's look at who he's fought recently. Okay, so he beat Li Jingliang. Let's go back a little bit further. Came into UFC at 6-0. Beat John Phillips, Reese McKee, Gerald Meerschaert. First off, Gerald Meerschaert is better than any fighter that Bo Nickal has fought yet. So he fought Gerald Meerschaert at 8-0. Or I guess, it's fought him at 8-0. After that, he's scheduled to fight Leon Edwards 3 times. We're going to go through those fights later. Those fights were canceled. Beat Li Jingliang, beat Gilbert Burns, beat Kevin Holland, beat Kamaru Usman. One of the best fighters ever, was not washed up. I understand it was short notice, but Khamzat took that on short notice as well. So the resumes aren't even close. And let's look at their ages. Oh, Khamzat Chimaev's 30 years old. Bo Nickal, what is he, 28? 28 years old. So they're not that far apart. And also, Khamzat, you go and look at his career. Oh, that's the injury update. But you look at his career overall, when these fights were happening, so you go back 2 years, 2022. So when he's 28, he's fighting Li Jingliang, he's fighting Gilbert Burns, he's fighting Kevin Holland. So I don't want to hear, oh, well, he's a little bit older. Okay, let's listen to more. We're going to skip ahead because he's going to talk about how the fight would go, which is the most delusional shit I ever heard in my entire life. Listen to this.
Take him down, ragdoll him, throw him around. He's not a big 85er. He gets tired. So, is his first round going to be a little better, more competitive? Probably. But if that fight's 5 rounds, I don't think he makes it 5 rounds, if we're being honest. And
he's going to take him down and ragdoll him. This is a takedown attempt against Cody Bumditch. He's going to take Khamzat down and ragdoll. Biggest joke I've ever heard. But that's not even the worst stuff that he said. The worst stuff that he said was on his recent podcast, where I don't know what kind of podcast this is. I think it just seemed like one big circle jerk from what I watched. But they bring up Khamzat Chimaev pulling out in the Robert Whittaker fight. And they asked him, were you offered the Robert Whittaker fight? And this is Bo Nickal's routine again, acting like he would whoop up on elite fighters that he would never actually step in the cage with. Listen to this.
Robert Whittaker. And here's the question that everyone is asking. Bo, did you get a call to fly to Saudi Arabia on 10 days notice?
I did get a call. Yeah.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I got a call while I was in the mountains of Montana, and I didn't get back to cell service for 3 days.
Unfortunately, likely story, Bo. This shit just drives me nuts. First off, I don't believe that the UFC offered him Robert Whittaker. I almost said Khamzat Chimaev. Second off, how convenient. I was in Montana with no cell service. You're telling me there was no way, shape, or form anyone could get in touch with? I just don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. Yeah, I would have stepped in there. He didn't say that, but he's kind of alluding to it. I would have stepped in there. And then listen to I guess these are his friends. Listen to what one of them said to him, which was really telling.
And so I came back into cell service to a few text messages saying, call me back. And it was too late. I was like, okay.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It was too late. I was in the mountains.
So
I'm glad you were out of cell service.
I know.
I'm glad you were out of cell service, and Bo Nickel says, I know. Yeah, because all he does is talk and talk and talk because he gets smoke blown up his ass by all the big wrestling fans. And he's an NCAA wrestler. He's a college wrestler. And Dana White's promoting him and wants to push him into superstardom because he thinks Bo Nickal's wrestling background is going to be the end-all, be-all. And that's why he's going to get babied matchups for the next few years. But yeah, I'm glad you didn't have cell service, his friend says. And he says, I know.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, and I'm not gonna disclose numbers, but they were up there.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
But it was just too late. I couldn't even really consider it because they had already kind of figured everything out the way they were gonna do it because I was gone.
A likely story. Again, I just missed this opportunity. To fight an elite guy. I wonder if Bo would have actually stepped in, I would have respected him for it. I wonder if anyone would have cried about that. They cried about Ikram stepping in a week's notice against the elite of the elite like it's some crime. I wonder if anyone would have cried if Bo Nickel would have stepped in. I, for one, would have been hyped. I, for one, would have had respect for Bo Nickel. He would have never took that fight in a million years, and I don't even believe the UFC would have offered it to him. So, now this next part, he starts talking about Khamzat Chimaev. And I just think this shit is despicable. And maybe I'm just being harsher because I've seen the MMA community's reaction to this a little bit more. He's almost shitting on Khamzat for being in the hospital, basically. Khamzat is in the hospital, or he was in the hospital, deathly sick, according to Dana White. And he's basically shitting on Khamzat Chimaev here. Listen to this.
But, yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't really want to go to Saudi Arabia and fight. Like, that's freaking far as crap. But, yeah, that dude's losing his aura a bit.
Well, that dude's losing his aura a bit. I mean, that's not that bad. That's actually partially true, but stop being such a clown, man. Why are you constantly talking shit about fighters you won't fight? If they offered him Khamzat, when Khamzat returns, he wouldn't take that fight in a million years.
Well, he hasn't fought. And all right, this is the thing that I do want to say. Like, obviously, Khamzat Chimaev. He's going to be your rival, and
He just needs to keep freaking winning and not doing this crap.
well, he needs to.
He needs to keep winning and not doing this crap. This is crazy, not doing this crap. He's sick. For all we know, he has cancer. For all we know, he has the flu. He's definitely ill from the flu, and he can recover in a couple weeks. This whole narrative that, oh, Khamzat Chimaev needs to stop doing that, and people saying he's a pull-out merchant. We're going to go through that. He's really only pulled out of 2 fights. If you actually look at it, he's actually only pulled out of 2 fights due to sickness. So people need to stop with that narrative, acting like he's pulled out so many fights. We're going to go through it because I know someone's going to comment down below and say, Joby, that's simply not true. But he needs to stop doing that. Sorry for getting deathly ill. Once a year, maybe. I mean, obviously, he needs to get it addressed if it's the same issue. But yeah, he needs to stop doing that.
Actually fight. He doesn't. He just needs to be able to step in the octagon.
Who's his last fight? Wait. It wasn't Kevin Holland, was it?
It was Kevin Holland.
That was his last fight?
No. It was Usman.
Usman, yeah. He fought Usman. Yeah, that's right.
So he hasn't fought a real 185er
Ever.
yet.
Hasn't fought a real 185er ever. I mean, this is like the same fan narrative. He fought Kamaru Usman on short notice. That is a better win than if he would have fought Paulo Costa and beaten Paulo Costa. Doesn't make any sense. But this isn't even the worst part.
No.
And, like, granted, he's sick. Can't do anything about an illness or anything.
Yeah. So don't even say but. I hate when people make a statement and then say but and then shit on somebody. So, I'm sure this is a great podcast. I'm sure everything's great. But for a guy who's supposed to be this big draw, 45,000 subscribers, 4,000 views in 12 hours, he's not even a star or a draw in free content, okay? All right? I'm a bigger draw than Bo Nickal, I guess. So, look, the buts, I know he's going to say something dumb here.
But
Good.
will not get sick. That was
Good. You heard him right there. Good. And that's not even, again, this gets even a little bit worse. He starts kind of laughing at it and making up rumors. But he says, yeah, obviously he's sick and he can't do nothing about it. And Bo goes, good. Imagine laughing and making fun of someone for being deathly ill. I just think this is a disgrace. And I've seen a lot of fans doing this shit. And this is what makes me so annoyed about this.
yet.
No.
And, like, granted, he's sick. Can't do anything about an illness or anything. But
Good.
will not get sick. That would be a good solution.
That's what I do.
That's what I do. No, you just fight bums. If he was fighting Cody Bumditch, I'm sure he could have rolled out of the hospital bed. Someone could have wheeled him down in a wheelchair, and I'm sure he could have whooped him, submitted him in the first round. But he's fighting elite level world class competition. Unlike you. Oh, just don't get sick. That's what I do. And then he starts making up rumors. Listen to this. And laughing about it too.
Just don't get sick.
But, yeah, I mean, he said that you can't wrestle, but at least you can wrestle currently right now is the big thing.
I'm not in a hospital, so
Yeah.
I can, technically.
Yeah, I'm not in a hospital, so I can wrestle. What a fucking douchebag. What a douchebag. I mean, imagine Khamzat died. Imagine how bad this would look. Because we still don't even know the full extent of his illness. Yeah, I can wrestle because I'm not in the hospital. And I know there's going to be someone down in the comments saying, Joey, you're too sensitive, or it wasn't even that bad. This dude's making fun of someone who's deathly ill in the hospital. I think that's one of the shittiest things you can do. Yeah, I can wrestle. All because he insulted your NCAA credentials. I think Bo Nickal, if he ever fights somebody who actually is going to talk shit to him, whether it be like a Colby Covington, Sean Strickland, I'm not saying he's going to fight those guys specifically, but someone that's actually going to go at him and talk shit to him, this dude's going to be the biggest softy I've ever seen in my entire life. He's going to be holding on to stuff for years. I mean, the ego is crazy, all because the UFC is selling this guy and blowing smoke up his ass 24/7.
Can.
I think he's probably overtraining because he gets sick.
Well,
a lot.
I don't think he's over training. I think he's over partying.
Think?
You think that he's a
don't
partier?
know. Probably. I don't know. What else would it be?
I think he's.
So he's sick because he's partying. So what are you saying? He's got a hangover? That's why he's in the hospital? Are you saying he's drinking after other people and he's picking up illnesses from them? Are you saying he's training while he's drunk and that's why he's in the hospital? It doesn't even make sense. That statement doesn't hold up to any questioning. This dude says, I think he might be overtraining. Okay, I doubt that's it seems like there's an actual illness that he has in this particular case. But the fact that he's like, yeah, he's just partying too much. What? This isn't Conor McGregor we're talking about. There's no evidence to support that. So
I think he's overtraining. Like, just from seeing his stuff, I think he just like goes crazy and gets super run down, and then gets like, because he's gotten like sick bad like this before a fight.
I've just heard rumors about like him and Till and stuff, like crazy stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
I've heard rumors about him and Till. They're partying it up and getting sick. Who knows the last time Chimaev and Till were even together? Does anyone know? I haven't seen any pictures emerge of them. So to sit here and laugh at a guy that's in the hospital, say, yeah, he can't wrestle since he's in a hospital bed. And then to say, yeah, he's probably sick because he's partying with Darren Till. Like, what? What kind of parties are you at? You kissing your friends on the mouth at your parties? Getting sick that way? It's all pure speculation. And it doesn't even hold up to any surface level criticism. The fact that he's making fun of a man who's laid up in the hospital. Hopefully he's going to be all right. And I would say that about any fighter. If it was Sean Strickland, if it was Colby Covington, I would literally be here defending them. If somebody said some nonsense like this. Because I know someone's going to say, oh, Joe, you're just biased. It's crazy to me that this dude's in the hospital, Bo Nickal, has to use this opportunity to pretend like he's a badass. Yeah, I don't get sick. I'm an NCAA wrestler. Look at my credentials. I can take people down. And I get shocked to the ground, forehead down against Cody Bumdidge after cheating in the first round and throwing pussy punches in the first round. An absolute disgrace. Now, the other thing I want to discuss in this video, before we get into the Khamzat Chimaev update, is the fact that the UFC is selling us Bo Nickal so hard. Selling us him so hard. It's literally crazy. It's literally crazy how hard they're selling Bo Nickal. And he has proven absolutely nothing. But because of the fact the UFC is pushing him so hard, the media falls right in line. I've told you guys this before, and technically this same statement could apply to me, but I'm telling you that it's simply not true. The media pushes certain guys because what is good for the UFC is good for them. So they want the UFC to turn Bo Nickal into this big star. And what the UFC does is when they want to create a star, not only do they baby them with favorable matchups, they also outright lie about how big of a draw or how big of a star they are, because it's essentially fake it till you make it. They talk about, oh yeah, Sean O'Malley's a huge star, he's a huge draw. When in reality, it's not. He's not there yet. But they're hoping to create kind of like a false sense that he is a star, and then other people are saying, yeah, this guy's a star, and then people have FOMO and they're like, oh, I gotta watch this guy, he's so popular, and everyone's talking about it. It's just simply not true. It's just made up bullshit rhetoric to push Bo Nickal when he hasn't fought anyone yet. He hasn't fought anyone good yet in his entire career. All he does is talk shit from the sidelines. It's beyond annoying. It's beyond annoying. They're just pushing him on you, acting like he's good when he's not good, and he hasn't fought. I'm not saying that he's not good, actually. I misspoke there. They're acting like he's proven to be elite when he has nowhere near proven that. He's beaten literally the scabs of the UFC. The scabs of the UFC. Nobody that he's faced so far is more than a grocery store cashier. Maybe you could say Cody Bumdidge is, an assistant manager. He's not even a manager at the grocery store, assistant manager. So for him to be talking about a guy in Khamzat Chimaev, making fun of his illness, and all because he questioned his wrestling, all because, he only beat Kamaru Usman. He beat Kevin Holland, Gilbert Burns, Li Jingliang. It's just crazy. Gerald Mearshart, all better wins than anything Bo Nickal has. And the fact that people are going to say, Bo Nickal's young. Ilia Topuria is 27 years old. 27 years old. Sean O'Malley, 29 years old. I think Adesanya, when he won the title against Robert Whittaker, was 29 years old. So I don't want to hear this shit. Dude's getting babied because the UFC desperately wants to push him. Now, in terms of the Khamzat Chimaev update, because I've seen a lot of people pushing false narratives. Look at this Twitter account right here. Apparently, Khamzat Chimaev may be forced to retire due to health issues. A sad thing for the Wolf. I've seen a lot of people regurgitating this. You see it from MMA Uncensored. Please block MMA Uncensored. They are not a reliable source. Khamzat Chimaev is contemplating retiring from mixed martial arts, and the UFC, after recent illness, forced him out of the main event in Saudi Arabia. And look, if you notice right here, here's a skill you guys need to pick up: media literacy. Oh, okay. Well, where's the source? Where? Let's see if we can find a source here. Oh, there is no source. They just made this shit up. I searched hard and I searched high and low. Couldn't find a source for this from anyone. It's just motherfuckers like this guy right here who want the engagement. You look 1.6 million impressions. You look at this 1.4 million impressions. You got this guy. He only got 677 impressions, so he's just an outright clown. He's not even getting the clout from it. It's all bullshit. Now, if you look at the actual update from his coach here, so Khamzat Chimaev's manager gives update on illness that forced him out of UFC Saudi Arabia. It's this post, him and his manager. And you can read the entire thing. I'll just read a little bit from it. But the persistent illness that Khamzat Chimaev has been battling for major parts of his training camp could not be cured in time. He has been in and out of the hospital several times. The condition has been kept within the team since everyone has been absolutely committed to finding a solution. Although all available options have been thoroughly considered, it has now come to a point where the team has mutually agreed that it is not possible to carry on like this. Stepping into a cage not properly prepared against a formidable opponent as Robert is unfortunately impossible. They don't even know exactly what the illness is just yet. So to sit here and say, oh, it's because he's partying with Darren Till, makes absolutely no sense. Hopefully Khamzat Chimaev heals up. And people acting like nonstop, Khamzat's pulled out due to sickness so many times. He's pulled out now twice due to illness. Twice. And I know people are going to disagree with me, so let's go through it. Let's go look at his UFC career, okay? Let's look at his UFC career. Because I know everyone's going to point to these 3 Leon Edwards fights. This is one pullout. These Leon Edwards fights. Because booked here in December of 2020, they both got sick. Him and Edwards, I think it was actually Edwards technically when they announced it, but they were both sick. Khamzat was still going to try to fight, but then Leon Edwards pulled out due to COVID-19. Then you look at the match that was set up after that was in January. He was still sick from December because he had long COVID, if you remember. Then they rebooked it for 2 months later because the UFC was so adamant about having this fight. He was still sick from the original bout of COVID. So to act like these are 3 individual pullouts when they were fights booked in rapid succession and he pulled out due to the same illness because the UFC was just hoping. That's like saying Raul pulled out twice against Ricky Tercios when he didn't. They just booked it for the next week. He wasn't ready. He couldn't go the next week. And I know this is a little bit different, but this is the same illness throughout a very short period of time that he's technically pulled out of this fight. Then you have the Nate Diaz missed weight, the Paulo Costa fight, Paulo Costa pulled out, and then now the Robert Whittaker fight where he pulled out due to illness. So 2 pullouts in the UFC due to illness. So for people to act like, oh, he's always sick or he's always in the hospital. Now, I know last year he posted photos. Apparently he was very sick. I think it might have been before the Kamaru Usman fight. He was just putting that out there. It didn't cause him to pull out any fight. He was just putting that out there. So, and I forgot what exactly he had, but he had some swelling in his face and looked nasty. I think I remember someone saying shingles, but I don't remember for sure. But to sit here and act like Khamzat Chimaev is a pull-out merchant and for people to shit on him just because he got sick, he could just have the flu. Flu can fuck you up for 7 days. Now, I'm not saying that technically based on the manager's response that he's been battling in and out of the hospital. Depends how long that would have been. I guess that wouldn't be the flu. But we don't know exactly what it is. We don't know exactly what's causing the issue. So we shouldn't say, oh, it's because he's partying. So he's going to be sick over the course of a training camp. So I guess that rules out the flu over the course of the training camp because it just makes no sense because he's partying with Darren Till. It makes absolutely no sense. Bo Nickal is getting smoke blown up his ass. Meanwhile, this is what's happening to him on a takedown attempt against Cody Bumditch. This guy nonstop talks about elite level fighters when he has no intention of fighting them anytime in the near future. And he's 28 years old. A lot of guys, there's guys, Ilia Topuria, 27 years old, is the champion. So I really thought this podcast made Bo Nickal look like an absolute scumbag and a piece of shit. And a lot of fans are going along with this. And just to kind of piggyback on another thing, the old Ikram Alaskarov is getting privileged for stepping in. How is that a privilege? 1 week notice fight against one of the greatest middleweights of all time? I mean, maybe not greatest middleweights of all time. I don't know. I guess you could probably make the case. One of the best middleweights, okay, in the last 10 years. Okay, let's put it that way. How is that a privilege? If he loses, how does it help him at all? All people are going to do is call him a fraud. I don't get that. To fly halfway across the world, cut weight again against one of the top fighters in the division. You think Bo Nickal would ever do that? No, he would not. He would just talk about it on his podcast. He would talk about it in an interview. Yeah, if Dana wouldn't have held me back, I would have got him. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Let me actually go back to full screen. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I'm curious what you think of these remarks. Am I being overly sensitive about it? I just think this is annoying, and a lot of fans are saying this stuff too, so I wanted to cover it. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for watching.